It's Pyram King, and I'm really excited to bring to you a new location in Legends of Saltmarsh. This is the Dwarven mining company. We've got a lot to cover here. Some amazing battle maps by DM Andy. They're available in high resolution and night, day, different weather effects over on his Patreon. I'll put a link in the description down below. We've got new NPCs, player handout, and a really cool open-ended quest. A lot to cover here. Now, everything you see in this video is also available for free in Legend Keeper in my open public world. I'll put a link down in the description below so you can check everything out. And for those donating members, I take all of that free content, I put it into a Foundry adventure module for you to enjoy. If you'd like to support me in this project, you can become a member by clicking on that link below. You get access to my entire Foundry library, including Legends of Barovia, Legends of Saltmarsh, and a bunch of additional content. So please join me in this epic journey. Now, before I dive into this location, the NPCs and everything, I think it's important to really talk about the dwarves, the mining operation, the Dwarven mine nearby, to help you as a game master understand the big picture, the context of the situation, because I believe it'll help you understand how to roleplay, introduce stories, what's going on with the different factions, and how this is really affecting the entire region. In order for us to do that, let's jump in and take a look at our regional map here. So when we look at our regional map, we see that Saltmarsh is part of the Kingdom of Keelan. And when we look at the Kingdom of Keelan from a geographical standpoint, we can see this kingdom, which is one of the largest, if not the largest and most powerful kingdom in the Sheldamar Valley in the World of Greyhawk here. We can see that on the northeast side, it's bordered by the Sheldamar River here. And in the southwest, we have the Dwarven River. And what's important is we don't have a lot of big mountains here. We have the good hills up here, but for the most part, the big mountains are the Lort Mill over here in the northeast, and down in the southwest, we have the Crystal Mist, the Tor Mountains, and the Jotuns. And what that means is that the Kingdom of Keelan did have some mining operations centuries ago, but for most part, those mines have been fully depleted. I mean, there's some small mines going on, but there's not a lot. It's not rich in ore, minerals, precious gems. So when there was a recent discovery down here near Saltmarsh along the coast, along the cliff, of some precious gems and gold and silver, the crown of the Kingdom of Keelan wanted to capitalize on this immediately. And since they didn't have the experience, the knowledge, or the personnel to run an effective mining operation, they established a relationship and a contract with one of the most respected guilds in the entire Sheldamar Valley from the Tor Mountains over here, and that is the Dwarven Mining Company. So the contract between the Kingdom of Keelan and the Dwarven Mining Company, the guild, is an exclusive contract for these dwarves to mine here near Saltmarsh. And we can see where that mine is if we look at this more close-in map here. So we have Saltmarsh here, and right next to Saltmarsh, we have that Dwarven mine. So this is probably one of the most valuable new resources in the Kingdom of Keelan, and so this is vitally important to the crown. The contract allows the dwarves to exclusive rights to mine, and in exchange, they get to evaluate and cut the gems and split some of the profits. Now, what the kingdom did was they bought in the village of Saltmarsh an old manor by a noble family, gave it to the guild, and the guild rebuilt that manor, and I have a picture of it right here. Into the Dwarven mining headquarters. This is where the management is. Copperlocks, she runs the Dwarven mining operation here. So all the management, the shipping, everything that has to do with running the mining operation is actually here in the town of the village of Saltmarsh, and the mine itself is outside of town. Now, I think it's also important to establish what's going on with the factions, not only the town, and how the dwarves fit into this town. Now, Saltmarsh is traditionally a human-centric fishing village, and the dwarves, there's been dwarves and other races that come to town, but they're a small minority. Now you have this big influx of dwarves over the last few years because of this mining operation here, and now this fairly well-established mining headquarters here in the village, and that's created some tension there. So we know we have two factions in the town. We have the loyalists, and the loyalists are the town garrison, the people that are loyal to the crown. They really want to see Saltmarsh prosper. They value the crown, they value the guards and the garrison there. And then you have the traditionalists, and the traditionalists are the local fishermen, for the most part, sailors, some of the agriculture people, and they do not want Saltmarsh to turn into some kind of big military port town. And what's happened is, if we look at that regional map again, Saltmarsh is the last town closest to the hold of the Sea Princess. So 100 years ago, roughly, there was the Azur's Tide, the big war between the kingdom of Keelan and the pirates, which became the hold of the Sea Princess. And Saltmarsh was right there at the border. And the fishing village nearby 100 years ago, Seaton, was just a sleepy fishing village, but the government, the crown, the kingdom of Keelan turned that into a major military port. And Saltmarsh doesn't want to become another Seaton. So the traditionalists and the loyalists are at odds. Now, all of a sudden, you have a bunch of dwarves show up into Saltmarsh because of this mining operation close by, and that's definitely escalated that tension. Now, it's important to understand that the dwarves from the Dwarven mining operation, the majority of the dwarves in Saltmarsh, because they work for the mining operation, and Copperlocks are loyalists. They're not loyalists for any ideological reason. They're loyalists because they have a contract with the Kingdom of Keelan to mine that operation effectively and efficiently and honor that contract. So they're loyalty out of necessity and out of contract. They don't like the party politics necessarily. Copperlocks is part of the agreement. Copperlocks, the head of the Dwarven mining operation, she sits on the town council. So she is going to be loyal to Fireborn, who's the captain of the guard. But again, she's loyal out of necessity. She's a loyalist because of a contract, not out of the ideology there, and she doesn't really want to get involved with it. In fact, for her, it's kind of a big headache, this traditionalist versus loyalist thing. Now, there are two other factions in Saltmarsh. One's a known faction and one's a secret faction. The known faction is the hold of the Sea Princess. Down here, the pirates here, if we look at it again on that regional map, they're down here. And the faction of the Hold of the Sea Princess definitely has some ties into Saltmarsh because they're smugglers. We know that Prime Water is leading a secret smuggling operation. So Copperlocks and the dwarves are aware there's pirates nearby. They would love to get their hands on some of that gold and some of that gems. She's aware there's probably smuggling going on. She doesn't know who's involved in it. So that's some stress and tension that she has as well. And they're well aware. Now, you can be sure those pirates have found out about this dwarf mining operation, and they would love, as well as the smugglers, to get their hands on ship manifests. Where's the shipping? What kind of value are the gems? What are they finding in this mine? That information is highly guarded secret because of this area, the tension that they are in this area. Now, the fourth faction that we should discuss is a faction that really nobody knows about. Copperlocks doesn't know about it. The town council doesn't know about it. It's a really secret faction, and that's the Scarlet Brotherhood. And right now, in the year 556, of Greyhawk, the Scarlet Brotherhood is a secret organization trying to infiltrate the countries, kingdoms, town councils, sowing seeds of discontent and chaos because they want to tear this all apart. They are going to be, in the future, the catalyst that brings about the Greyhawk Wars in not too long a time. So they're definitely interested in trying to disrupt whatever they can this Dwarven mining operation. That you can bet the Scarlet Brotherhood realizes the value and the importance of this mining operation it is to the Kingdom of Keelan. So anything they can do to interrupt that mining operation, that's something that's going on. So you can imagine Copperlocks is dealing with a lot of stress and pressure with all the political dynamics, not only within the town, but also making sure to keep the Kingdom of Keelan happy, worrying about pirates and smugglers, and trying to keep the townspeople, especially the traditionalists, okay. So there's definitely some stress going on in this town. Now, briefly about the dwarves, we should talk about them briefly. The dwarves there, this is not where they're from. This is not a place that they're really comfortable at being. They're from the Tor Mountains. They love the fresh mountain air. They would rather be up in the mountains mining They don't want to be down here, near the salt water, smelling the salt air, the fish. They probably don't even like fish, but they're there again under the obligation in this contract of their guild and the contract and obligation they have with the Kingdom of Keelan. So the dwarves don't really want to be there, and so they really keep to themselves. And you're going to find dwarves in one of really two places where they congregate. One of them, we've already covered that location, which is the Wicker Goat, the tavern, which is a loyalist tavern. It's where all the guards hang out. It's close to the barracks in the village and the garrison. But since the dwarves are loyalist and the crown is to protect the dwarves and to protect the mining operation, a lot of the dwarves also go to the Wicker Goat and associate with guards. And we covered that. You can watch that video and look at that stuff for the Wicker Goat. The other location that are going to be here is at the mining operation. We have an ale hall and everything in there. So that gives you kind of the big picture of what's going on, the relevance and importance of the mining operation, what Copperlax is dealing with, and the dwarves are dealing with here in Saltmarsh. If we look at the map within Saltmarsh, we can see the mining operations up here. This whole range over on the far west side and the cliffs, this is where there's some of the more wealthy manors here. The mining operation obviously bought that old noble manor and turned it into mining headquarters. And Landard's home was over here. So it's a little bit away from the village itself, and that's kind of a good thing to keep those dwarves. Who knows what kind of fights are going to happen along the docks and stuff between dwarves and fishermen. It's not going to be a pretty sight if they get a little bit too much ale in them, right? All right, let's go ahead and look at the battle map. We're going to jump into it and talk about this location. It's really cool. I got some Monk's Active Tile Trigger things for you too to show you in here. It's really cool. So the first thing we have is the beautiful map and ground floor of this mining operation. Let me bring up the location journal in here. So each room, we've got a little room description in here. For the most part, I want to talk a little bit about the ground floor and the vestibule. The best thing to mention here in the beginning is you're going to see standing out front here is one of the royal guards of the Kingdom of Keelan. And the guard isn't really there necessarily for protection. The dwarves have their own internal guards protecting their headquarters here. The guard really stands there as a deterrent, but he's also a reminder that this place is very important to the crown, to the Kingdom of Keelan. So if you attack, break in, or do anything to the dwarves that work in the mining operation or to this facility, you're really attacking the crown. You're attacking the Kingdom of Keelan because of the importance and the value of this mining operation. So that's just a friendly reminder. The people in the town know the affiliation and the loyalty between the dwarves and the guards. As you head through here, you're going to come into the reception area, and there's a waiting room over here. Again, there's a map key in here. You can see there's a waiting room, the foyer in here. And this serves as a couple of purposes. The ground floor is really dealing with mining business. So you're not going to just walk in here. There's a reception area over here where they're going to say, why are you meeting here? Are you buying any rare gems? Are you buying some minerals? Are you involved in shipping? Are you working from the crown? You're going to have some dignitaries showing up here, some merchants that aren't from Saltmarsh coming through to negotiate and deal with the Dwarven mining companies. So that would be happening in here. And there's a waiting room over here. Then you have this grand hall with this really impressive statue of a dwarf in the center. And remember, the dwarves like grandeur. They really want to show their skill and their stonework. So this is really establishing that the dwarves are here. This is kind of like, as we like to think of embassies around the world, this is their country. And they've kind of brought that culture and a country from their mountainous regions and the tours here. And they really want to establish that and for you to see that. What we have over here on the left is a ale house, ale storage, and we have this ale room here. And I got a Theater of the Mind map for that right here, and I'll activate it here. And I want to talk a little bit about this ale room. And these Theater of the Mind maps, you can drag your tokens in here. And we've got old Marta, and I'll tell you about her in a second. The ale room is where the dwarves like to hang out. And when they're in the ale room together, there's no ranking of dwarves. As soon as the first mug of ale is poured, they're a clan. And because they're so far away from the Tor Mountains, when they're in here together, all the dwarves, it really makes them feel like they're at home. They can talk about their family probably living back in the Tor Mountains, a hard day's work in the mine, what's going on. Even Copperlocks, she's no longer head of the Dwarven mining operation. When she's here, they're all on equal footing. She's here enjoying a meal and some ale with all of them. So they're here in the ale hall. It's a really interesting place. Now, we have Marta here, and I have her NPC stuff here. You can read about her right here. Copperlocks hired old Marta to not only be the caretaker and of this establishment, also the cook there, because she has a world of experience. She's traveled with mercenaries. She's traveled with traders. She has seen everything. Old Marta has seen everything, and so she's kind of like the mother hen of this place. And Copperlocks hired her to make sure there was always good ale, there was always good food, and if there was ever a problem, she could always lift the morale. And so the dwarves really feel comfortable with her around. Now, from a role-playing standpoint, she would be really a good friend of the players, right? She's seen everything, so she's not necessarily a loyalist. All the other dwarves are going to be loyalists. She's fairly neutral in that regard. She has a lot of empathy to what's going on between the traditionalists and the loyalists there. Really interesting and fun character. I really like her. So that's in the Dwarven mining hall here. So that's over here in this room right here. We got some little lights going on here. Then we have that kitchen over here. Here's Marta in this kitchen. Again, look at these gorgeous battle maps by DM. And he's done an amazing job to really bring these to life. She's cooking some stuff here, and then they can go into the ale hall. And look, he's got a thing with a bunch of mugs of ale in here. Just really awesome. Now, over on the right side of the map, we have the first area we have here is the stone, not shipping office, the stone archives, and we have the archivist office. And here's the archivist here is Baron Deepdelve. And he's an interesting character, and I want to bring him up because this is going to lead into our open-ended quest. So he's an archivist, and the mining operation keeps records of everything that they're doing, and they keep records in stone. So this room right here has these huge stones that slide back and forth, and they etch into the stones the history of what's going on here. Now, the archivist doesn't really just record what's going on with the mine. He records local myths, local lore, and everything that's related that they're discovering as they're mining. And what he's discovered, and one of the things that he's concerned about, is he's learning about these myths and lore that there's something dark and dangerous and deep inside the mine, or he thinks so. And so he's become a little bit of an eccentric and a little bit of a Chicken Little, oh my gosh, we should stop digging so deep. We're going to unearth something. So he's been warning Copperlocks and others they should slow down the mining. We should be concerned about that. And that's created some internal friction. Like Copperlocks has got to meet these schedules. She has to meet these demands. There's merchants and kings and everybody that's demanding these gems and this gold and silver. And he's warning her to slow down. So she's in this kind of conflicted situation. She believes in him, but he's a little bit eccentric. So he's one of these guys that's a little obsessed with his theories, and so all of that information is being recorded on these stones in here. So Baron Deepdelve he'll talk to any of the characters, by the way, because he just needs someone to listen to him worry about what's going down in the mine, right? The next room we have up here is the museum, and the museum is really cool. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about in the museum here, and we've got a Theater of the Mind map here. Now we have Torin Flintcloak here. He is the runesmith, kind of the magic appraiser, and they have a museum here, and the museum carries really two things. One of it finds, when they find some kind of rare mineral or some precious gem or something dwarven in nature, they put it on here, and it's a museum not only for the dwarves, but when merchants come or dignitaries come, it's a way to show off what they've done. They take a lot of pride in all of their work, the work that they do in the gem cutting and their tools and everything. But this room serves as something else as well. There's a statue you can see in the center of the room right here. And I have a Theater of the Mind map for that as well. There it is. There's a huge statue in the center. It's not as big as the one in the Grand Hall, but this one's a lot more skillfully crafted. And we've got Torin here, the runesmith. Now, you'll see at the bottom of the statue, there's some Dwarven writing. And if you speak Dwarvish, it reads, "Forge, then tombs where men rest." Doesn't make a lot of sense. Players with a successful investigation or insight check will realize it's kind of a phrase that seems scrambled, out of order, something just seems odd. Whoever wrote that, it just doesn't, even in Dwarvish, it doesn't sound right. This is actually an anagram. There's another clue to this anagram because along the ceiling, all the way around, is Dwarvish script, and it's a poem, a poetic riddle, and it reads, "From forge to grave our tale is etched. When stone forgets, the vault is wretched. But if you speak what stone recalls, the path will open through ancient halls." So this gives you a clue as to what this anagram might say. Now, if you solve the anagram, it says stone remembers what men forget. And if you recite that in Dwarvish out loud in front of the statue, well, guess what happens? If we go back to this thing here, you click this button over here, it says secret door, and the statue moves. So I'm going to go ahead and click it now. You're going to hear a noise, and it's going to display, all of a sudden make a red arrow pointing down, which shows you that it's moved and the players now can go down into the vault. So let's go ahead and click on that. Now that sound represents the statue moving, and you can see this red arrow now becomes visible, and if a player token steps on that, it's going to teleport them down into the vault. We're going to talk about the vault here in a little bit. So that's what's going on in here, is you have to solve that riddle. Now, if players get stuck and an anagram becomes too difficult, or if the poem doesn't make sense, they can go into the stone archives, maybe the stone archivist's office, or maybe read some clues in here to solve it. As you know, if you watch Legends of Barovia or any of my other stuff, I like to incorporate puzzles and riddles and anagrams and clues. And so this is just the latest one here. I'm going to go ahead and close my secret door here. I just imagine this huge statue moving. Just really, really cool. Okay, so to the north of that, we have the shipping office up here. And the shipping office is important because, and you're going to find in here, another person here is Doric Ironbelly. Now, Doric is the foreman, so he's only here about 30% of the time. 70% of the time, he's going to be out at the mine, and he is like the right-hand man for Copperlocks. What's going on in the mine? Do they need any equipment? Do they need any personnel? He is in charge of all of it, and he reports daily to Copperlocks what's going on in the mine. Now, the shipping office is interesting because when you're in the shipping office, you're going to find all the shipping records of everything here. What you won't find is the manifest of what's actually on the ship. So you're going to learn about shipping routes, merchants, dates, and times, but you will have no idea what's in there. So the information is valuable, but Copperlocks and Doric have specifically separated that information, and the rest of the information, the actual what's inside the ships and what's being moved and coming out of the mine, is in a separate secret office, private office upstairs. So they keep those records separate just in case somebody steals stuff from the shipping records office here. And if he is here, if Ironbelly's here, you're going to probably find him here in the shipping office here. The next room we have over here is the gem cutter's room, and we've got Thoric Gemhand in here. There he is right here. I have a picture of him. There's Thoric Gemhand right here. And he is a master gem cutter. So he's going to be in here cutting gems. And if you want to know anything about gems, minerals, anything, this would be the guy that players could talk to. So if they find something, some rare gem or something like that, this would be the guy you would go to, and he could look at it and tell you if it's valuable or if it's worthless. He can also pretty much cut any type of gem there is. He is pretty much one of the most renowned gem cutter there is, and he's coming from the most respected guild. He's also training somebody in apprentice. So if a player character want to learn about gem cutting or more about gems or that trade, this would be the guy to talk to right here. And you can find him in the gem cutting chamber in here. We also have a Theater of the Mind map for this as well. There he is. He's in there cutting his gems. in there, so you can go in there we can have a Theater of the Mind map as well. So that pretty much covers the entire first floor. Again, we've got the archivist office, the museum with the secret anagram passphrase to take you into the vaults, the shipping office, the gem cutting, and the grand hall where they all hang out. Up outside, you have a separate little building. This is Marta's quarters where she stays. She has a couple people that help her out as the caretaker here, but that's where Marta lives, is up here in this little place up here. Now let's go up to the second floor before we go to the vault and cover the second floor here. So here we are in the second floor. Let me go ahead and open that up. And we have the private rooms of the people that we've just met. So the first room over here is we have Torrhen's private room. And what you're going to find in Torrhen's private room, if you search in there, we're going to talk about several different ways of hooking as the open-ended quest, is we have Torrhen's journal. And that's a PDF handout you can give to the player. And this is what leads to that open-ended quest. We'll get back to that. But that's actually here in his room, which is right over here. You can see on the map key. We have a guest room. We have Dork's room. Dork's room, the foreman's room, is pretty small. It's pretty efficient. You're not going to find too many things of value in there. He doesn't stay here all the time. He's only here about 30% of the time. He does stay here maybe 2 or 3 nights a week. Drinks down in the ale hall, reports to Copperlocks. We have 2 bathrooms, and we have a lounge here. In the lounge, you'll usually find in the lounge during off hours is Baron and Torrhen. So you have the archivist and the runesmith in there, kind of talking, maybe playing some games or smoking a pipe. Because they're both involved in this open-ended quest, which I'm really excited to get to here until we finish up the map, because it's really, really cool. I'm excited about that. Then we have, next to that, we have the, let me see, this is Bayron's room over here, and then we have the gem cutter's room. So Bayron, the archivist's room's over here, and the gem cutter's room. And I have some basic descriptions of what's inside the room. You're not going to find anything super valuable, but maybe tools of the trade, some gems in here that he's working on or practicing cutting, some documents from the archivist here. Then you have the big room over here. This is Copperlocks' room, who runs the operation. There she is right here. Take a look. She's got a lot on her mind. There is a couple of valuable things in Copperlocks' room. There's a flame heart circlet of fine worked copper and ruby. It's worth about 250 gold. There's an ancestral forge hammer in here that she has, and then she has a silver beard ring of with the clan Copperlocks, which is worth about 150 gold. So she has a couple of personal, very wealthy items that she keeps in here. But you're not going to find, she's really good at making sure she locks down all the information about the mine and the manifest. And that's up here in this locked office. This is the private locked office up here in the corner with storage. This is Copperlocks' private office. There's only 2 keys to this room. And the lock on here is like a DC 25. It's a really hard lock to open because everything in this room is actually the records of everything coming out of the mine and what's going on what ships. So she's keeping these records separately because she's scared of the smugglers and certainly the pirates. If they get their hands on this, they might find out a ship, but they'll have no idea what's on that ship. So keeping those records separate is highly important. So that's what you're going to find up here in the office and the storage area in here. Then you have the armory over here. So they got some Dwarven weapons and stuff if they need that. This is usually locked. I gotta lock the door. There we go. But in here is not only the Dwarven weapons, but there are going to be guards pretty much all the time, day and night, walking the halls in here. And they go in here and obviously get their weapons and stuff before they go on guard duty. If she ever needs to muster all of the dwarves here, they would come here to station and make sure they get the proper weapons. If for instance, this place was being raided by pirates or smugglers, this is where they would go, is up here to the armory. If you see these up and down arrows, these are Monk's Active Tile triggers for teleportation. Here, I'll just show you really quick. So if I have a character up here on the second floor and then they go down on this, they'll emerge. Let me close this so it's not in your way. they emerge down here. So you go upstairs and you see an up arrow, and they'll go up here. Really cool. But let me show you this. I'll take them down. Let's open up take them down to the vault. So when the characters are in here, they cannot see. This is what the characters see. This is view. They see the statue, right? They don't see the red arrow. The red arrow is invisible to the players. When the DM, when they figure it out, you double click the secret door button. The red arrow materializes, and when the player character's token goes on the red arrow, they show up down here. So this is the vault down here. So now we're down in the vault, which is really cool. If they go back, if they want to go up the circular stairs, they can. The first room here in the vault room serves as kind of a record room. There's some records of what's going in and out of the vault. And there's going to be a guard down here, 1 or 2 guards or even more, when they're going to be accessing the vault. So if they're taking inventory, when they're accessing, pulling things in and out of the vault. Now this is a secret vault. This is the wealth of the mining company itself. So as you know, they have the contract with the king. What they earn or what they keep, their gems, their money is all stored down in this vault. So the entrance to the vault is a secret. If anybody could find information about this vault, I'm sure that Prime Water or one of the smugglers, if they can get you this information, they're going to want you to go in there and rob the vault. Now, you're going to notice here is we have these 2 doors. And there's this hallway here. Now, there's this invisible button here. The players can't see this. You can see this. This whole area is a trap. There's pressure plates. And if the characters aren't too perceptive, if they don't perceive this, right down the center are these blades, and they come up based on pressure plates. The vault can be, let me look at this really quick to show you the information on the pressure plates. It's a DC 15 perception or passive perception of 15 or higher. You would have noticed some grooves in the floor. You have to investigate. To disarm a trap, with thieves' tools, you can disarm it. But if you stand on this pressure plate and you don't disarm it, this is what happens. Now all you have to do is double tap on the trap, this area right here, and watch what happens. Let's see. Does our character have some? Let's see. They have some hit points. Yeah, they have some hit points. Let's pop them up to 50 hit points. So what happens in this trap is this. All you have to do is once the character's in there, they're going down the hallway, they've triggered the trap, just double click on it, and this is what happens. The doors at both ends automatically come down shut and they lock. The blades come up and they're going to do 40-10 damage to every single creature that's stuck in here. And you can just see it does it. All of that happens automatically. That's it's a monk active tile trigger here with all the triggers and all the actions done automatically in here, including the sound of it. Again, it's pretty cool. Let's hear that sound again. I think that's pretty cool. You don't want to be in there. It's not a good thing. Okay, next up, we get into what's known as the vault room, not the vault itself. And in here, you have these statues. They're invisible right now. There's a statue on the wall. You can see it. They're invisible, but these are Dwarven animated armor. So anybody that's going to be trying to get into the vault, these Dwarven animated armor are going to come to life. They're going to try to stop you. In addition, there's a rug of smothering right here. So I've got Diamandi's image of the rug of smothering right here. But I just left them in here. You just make them invisible. So when they go in here, they don't see them. And then if they bring them to life. Now, obviously, if they're with copper locks or somebody, or they're allowed in here, it's not going to be a problem. But they're going to have to get through the trap. They're going to have to deal with these 4 animated armor. You've got a rug of smothering. And then when they get to this huge door here, they're not going to just be able to get through it, because they're going to have to break this lock. And this lock is, let's take a look at it. I think it's like a DC 25. It's crazy. Crazy. Just crazy. The lock here for the vault doors, yeah, it's a DC 25. Now, what I decided to do is, if the people find some long-lost blueprints or engineering notes, maybe there were some original blueprints or engineering notes from the Tor Mountains when the dwarves did it. And maybe Prime Water or some smuggler got their hands on it and gives it to the players if they can go in there and break out the stuff. It lowers the DC to 15. So DC check, because they'll have the information on how to get into the vault. But it's going to take them Thieves' Tool. It's DC 25 if they don't know. If they do know, DC 15. Only Copper Locks, Iron Belly, the Gem Cutter have the proper methods to open up this door. Now, when you open up this door here, you're into the vaults. And this thing is loaded with some great stuff. So you got 1,000 gold pieces of golden gems. You have the Belt of Dwarven Kind, which is a wondrous rare item. You also have the Stone of Good Luck is located in here. Stamp bars of bearing the crest of the Tauren Guild. A bunch of stuff in here. Now, that's really awesome. There's another thing in here on DM Andy's map. He has a well in here. And you can see that right over here. And what I did was I put in some walls to connect the well to the vault. And I would say if you go down the well and you want to try to burrow yourself through the rock, you can. It's probably going to take, I would say, 24 hours of continuous labor with powerful magic and tools to burrow through this rock into the vault itself. Maybe DC 20 strength checks or mason tools with DC 20 checks to get into this vault through the well, through the rock walls. If you do that, what you can do is the characters can't see the secret door. You can just open up the secret door. The characters can go down through this. I've made this kind of fake tunnel from the well, so they can go from the well after they dig it out and go in here and steal everything instead of having to go through the front door. So that's it as far as the maps are concerned, the trap, the secret vault. Let's talk about the open-ended quest. And as you know, every single location has one of these open-ended quests. And the quest here is the Decanter of Endless Water. And what I like about open-ended quests, it really allows you as the game master a bunch of different opportunities of how you want to run this for different levels. In this particular case, Thorin, the runesmith, has found some information about a decanter of endless water, magic items. And there's a player handout, which is this book, his journal. Now, if the players can find the journal, there's a couple of adventures hooked. He can tell them about it, that he's concerned about it, or maybe they're talking to Bayron, who's the archivist, who's concerned about the mine, and he says, you should talk to Thorin because he's found something out in the drowned forest. I think it might be linked to the mine. So you get those two guys talking. They might share it with you. Copperlocks is also growing concern because obviously she's got two people that she values. The archivist concerned about what's going on in the mine, and Thorin's research and found this journal. Now, what he discovers in this journal after doing some research, and if you read this journal, it's really cool. By the way, the journal is free. I'll put a link to the download down below. It's in PDF, so you can give it as a player handout, or you can do it here in Foundry. Is he's discovered this magic decanter of endless water. Now, you know he runs the museum. He's interested in magic items and runesmiths, so he does a little bit of investigation. And he finds out that there was some kind of ship's log that this decanter went missing inland into the Hool Marsh near the drowned forest. And there was some stories about some cult or something, and they were worshiping this goddess of fungus, this demon lord, Zugtamoy. There's some stories about a portal or something like that out in the drowned forest in here. And so that's what this text talks about here. And he does a little bit more investigation. He's happy to give you this journal. This is his private journal about researching this decanter. He just wants the decanter. What Copperlocks is concerned about and what Bayron's concerned about is this affecting the mine? Will this affect their mining operation? Will this affect their shipping? Is there something going on with this cult? Is there something going on out there? And so everything about running this in here is located right here. Talks about the adventure hooks in here and the rewards. You got some rewards in here, but really these open-ended quests aren't really about monetary rewards so much, but about getting the players to explore the area. Now, what lies in the drowned forest, that's really up to you. I gave you 3 different thought process depending on the level of the party. There could be just an old ruin out there. They find some crumbling ruin. You can use some kind of simple ruin dungeon map and have a really low level encounter as they explore, and then they find the decanter of endless water out there and bring it back. You could do a higher level, which I would call like a kind of a spore-born horror. I would use one of the creatures from the monster manual, maybe a myconoid sovereign or something, give them some kind of sporish traits, and so they have to fight this kind of boss over there. Maybe some old cult people are kind of turned into like spores or whatever, or have gone crazy. Again, trying to find that decanter. But then you could also have that portal open. Now, in Saltmarsh, I think I have it right here. Yeah, Saltmarsh right here. This book, by the way, is probably one of the best 5e books out there because there's so many Easter eggs here to Greyhawk and other adventures. On page 24, I think it's page 24, let me find it real quick. On page 24, there is a paragraph, just a brief paragraph mentioning the decanter in the Drowned Forest, a cult dedicated to Zugtamoy, who was imprisoned in the Temple of Elemental Evil, which is a really amazing adventure, level 1 to level 10, I believe. Temple of Elemental Evil in there. I figured there's a portal. They've opened up a portal to probably try to rescue the Demon Queen from the Temple of Elemental Evil. So if you want to run Temple of Elemental Evil, this is a great way to introduce it by send the players out to the Drowned Forest to find this decanter. They find a portal, and boom, it takes them into the Temple of Elemental Evil. So I've got those in there as some different ideas, getting the players out there into the Drowned Forest. I have some objectives listed here, some clues. Obviously, you have the journal. You could have a decanter fragment. Maybe there's some other clues about some fungal growth pattern that leads them to this shrine or this temple or this portal. Some key NPCs and some interactions with them, the 3 Copper Locks, Flint Cloak, and Deep Delve, Barbarian Deep Delve. How the factions will react to this is also in here. And then some future hooks. You could have the gateway open up if you want to introduce Temple of Elemental Evil to lower level players. If you haven't played that, it starts in the village of Hamlet, T1, a level 1 to 3 adventure. So you can have that portal open up to the village of Hamlet, which is near the Temple of Elemental Evil. If you want to know where that is on the map, by the way, it's located, I don't have it exactly on the map, but it's located just on the other side, like way up here, just on the northeast part of the Lortmel Mountains, way up here. So that's where the village of Hamlet would be, was right up there. Temple of Elemental Evil would be right over here. What I would do running this quest, whether they do the Temple of Elemental of Evil or to Hamlet, is I would have in there the portal sends them back, right? So that portal remains open. It's like a teleportation back and forth to either the temple or the village or nearby the village of Hamlet, and then back to the Drowned Forest. And my thought process is the cult was trying to rescue her. She was imprisoned there maybe a few years ago, before the year 576. I think she was probably imprisoned in there in 560 or something like that, maybe a decade ago. So this cult tried to open up this portal to go in there and rescue her, but they all get killed or they all turn crazy or whatever happens. There's a spore monster out there or something. But they use this decanter of endless water as a part of that. And so it all leads to this. So you have that all in here. I have the future hooks in here. If you want to run this as a high-level adventure, in the Temple of Elemental Evil, you have the boss fight, and you also have the what would they call elemental nodes. They were optional, super high-level encounters in the Temple of Elemental Evil with fighting her. Now she is a demon lord, so that's going to be, your characters are going to need to be high-level to do that. So if you do have high-level characters and you are playing in the Saltmarsh region and you want to expand in the World of Greyhawk, this is a great way to get them to introduce Temple of Elemental Evil. Really excited about incorporating that. And again, it just shows you one of the many, many, many Easter eggs in Ghost of Saltmarsh. for the World of Greyhawk and all those great adventures out there. I hope you enjoyed this. Please make sure you smash the like button, hit subscribe. If you want all of this in Foundry, become a member, or if you want to access for free online on my Legend Keeper, all the content is on there online, so you can see all of this on there as well. So until next time, may all your rolls be critically successful. Oh, and a special thank you to my legendary supporters.